does not condemn any form of nutrition that you may encounter or partake in. All we do is when you put it in. That's the difference between solar nutrition and other forms of nutrition. There is not a single food that we will reject in eating or abstain from. The difference is that we know when to put that food in versus the results of what that food will do in your body after it goes in. Most people eat food from fixations, traumas, injuries, and remain sick and blame all other things for their sickness. And when you track it down, you'll find that they ate the food containing chemistry in the wrong time frame, and the body subliminally is not cooperating, and consciously you're forcing it by your programming to make it do what you think it should do. And then you have the conflict between your internal organs and your external mechanical functioning to cope with society, and then they blame you and they tell you, you better go see a doctor. And in the end result, the doctor ends up doing one or two things when you show up at his lab or clinic. Is the pressure too fast or too slow? Nurse, and so she says the pressure is too fast, then you have every disease from A to Z within the hyper range. If the pressure is slow, then you have every disease from A to Z in the hypo range. And then he'll do all the tests gradually to validate there are no broken bones or anything. Then he will advise, take this substance containing these minerals and so many times a day. That's the treatment. Now that's valid from their standpoint of staying healthy. Our standpoint is different. That environment came before us. There is no way we're going to get around it. And to fool yourself by negating it or avoiding it or overindulging in it is only going to make you turn out to find that you have the wrong understanding. I think you need a copy. Did you have a copy yet? Here's a copy right here. So we are focusing not on what we eat. We're focusing upon when you eat it. Now if you drove a car or you drove a motorcycle and came here, whatever vehicle you rode in to get here, it will not function if it's not on time. You're familiar with that kind of problem? Having owned a car for years and it's not running on time, what happens to it? It sits there and you want to kick the hell out of it. So a guy comes around with a little screwdriver, he thinks around it and it runs on time for the first time. You wonder what the hell did you? So what did he do? Line up the timing. And that's what we're focusing on today in solar nutrition. We're not going to focus on anything more than when you put it in. So, yesterday I made a statement and it embodies what solar nutrition represents. Anytime you deal with nutrition involving time, you have to have the acceptance in your mind that you're living to live, not living to die. If you want to live to die, be my guest. But if you want to live, the process is here, involving every form of therapy available to you, and functionally more so what you put in your body to make you operate. It's geared already for that process. So There are only 5 basic rules in solar nutrition. They're not too many. They're very easy to remember. Rule number 1. A little of anything is medicine for the system. Too much is toxic or abuse. I'm going to underline anything, medicine, and toxic. The person responsible for this observation, they call him Confucius. I call him Cornifucius. Corny in the sense that I don't know what a little is. A little for you isn't a little for me or her, and therefore, by his observation, we are fortunate for him to making that corny statement, because it's keeping all of us working for the first time, doing research to find out what that little is. Pretty corny, eh? Good, and I'm thankful for him too, because without that corny statement, we wouldn't need all the researches we're doing today. We wouldn't know exactly what that little would have been had he said a milligram of anything or a half a gram would have long straighten out the point, but now we don't know, so we are spending the billions of dollars in research to establish the little. So I'm thankful for that, because it keeps me working. But you'll notice what is unusual about it. Anything that does not eliminate a single thing in this environment, and the word anything, no matter what label it comes on, it'll sooner or later end up, when you break it down, it'll turn out to be minerals. There's no way to get around that. And most of us aren't familiar with that, but as we become familiar, we'll find out that there's not a single thing that you can put in your mouth that isn't composed of minerals. Now, some of us might have eaten a bread called toast, right? But if you break down that under the lab and look at it under a microscope, what are you eating? A bunch of rocks. Very small, minute. And if they put it in the timber and you look at that, it says, this is for breakfast or for lunch. Would you eat it? Oh, no, I wouldn't eat that. That says rocks. Yeah, mix it with a little water and it spreads out and look kind of nice and gooey. It looks like a piece of plaster. Would you eat it? Oh, no. Put it in the oven, bake it, and come back. Oh, boy, smells good. What is it you got there? Bread. And then everybody, right? Well, that's the problem now. When to put it in. Before you didn't want to put it in as crystals. And then you add water. You didn't want to put it in as a plaster-looking substance. Now that you bake it, you put it in any time, but then when you get sick, you wonder, what did I do wrong? That's the final summation of the condition. When did you put it in that you got sick versus putting it in and not getting sick? So, any object that we're going to eat would have to grow or form itself from the environment. And therefore, the quantity and the growth would be involved in time. That's why we come to a very unusual situation. A little of anything is an unusual word, medicine. We use it all the time in our language. What is medicine? In your mind frame, what does medicine represent to you?
Cure.
Hmm?
A cure?
I don't know if medicine curing anybody.
That's what they say it does.
A doctor will be the first one not to admit that. Yeah.
Is it a substance that you need?
It's something that aids your body.
Hmm?
Something that aids your body, helps your body function.
Something therapeutic?
Yeah. Keep trying.
Food?
Hmm?
Food?
No.
Something for me, medicine, me, M-E.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how to break down the rest of the word.
We'll come to that after, but the point is this. Medicine in the common understanding is a approach by some substance to do one or two things to a problem. Either slow it down or speed it up. That's all it will ever do. So, there are two types of schools. One is called a policeman to catch a thief. It's known as allopathic medicine, or the orthodox type of medicine, where you go to the doctor, you have a symptom, and the symptom registers in a certain way, caused by certain minerals in the body. He has to find an opposite mineral to what? Slow it down, right? So that's what they call the policeman to catch a thief. If you have a criminal rampant in the society, before the community get up and start a lynch mob, they call it the police department, right? Somebody who is trained, and his job is to go stop that individual and slow him down. So that is what we would call the first approach in medicine, allopathic, or slowing down or neutralizing. Then you have another session. It's called the homeopathic medicine. Ever heard the term homeopathic?
Mm-hmm.
That's the CIA checking on the FBI that they don't FIB. Now you understand what I just said? The CIA checking on the FBI so that they don't FIB. And that is equal things of the same nature phasing down, and that's what we say, a thief to catch a thief. You promise somebody some type of a reward if he will turn in the other individual, and homeopathic medicine is like that. Let's say you have an itch, and you go to an allopathic doctor or a regular orthodox doctor. He will give you something to stop the itching by countering it, see? So the substance that you put on wouldn't make it itch. So that's a counteraction. Now, but if you go to a homeopathic doctor and you got an itch, he's going to give you something to out-itch the itch. So, oh boy, it's itching more, doctor. Yeah, I know, but in a few seconds you happen. Hey, wait a minute, doc, what happened? I came in itching, yeah, you gave me that substance, yeah, and I start itching more, yeah, and what happened? It don't itch no more. That's all magic. Homeopathic medicine. The over-itching material told the other itching material, look, shut up. Quit your itching. I'll be on top of your head, you see? So that's exactly what we have in chemistry going on. So a little of anything is medicine, and it falls in two categories: opposites, correct, like, correct. So opposite things will correct a problem, or two like things will correct the problem. You got it? And you're using it all the time and you don't recognize it. Yeah, you see?
So does the allopathic and the homeopathic break down into one slows down the situation, or neutralizes and the other speeds it up, or neutralizes?
That's right. Yeah. Now, it's medicine, nothing else. A little of anything is medicine. They don't have a single thing more for the body, and it's for the system. Too much is toxic. So when you run into a body who say they're toxic, what have they done to their body? Put too little or too much?
Too much.
Good. Okay. Now, normal operation would mean they have to put in a certain quantity so that they don't be what? Self-destructive to themselves, right? Or they won't have symptoms of too much appearing in them, or they wouldn't have symptoms of too little appearing in them. That would be considered normal, right? Good. Then you wouldn't go to the doctor if you're normal. Would you need a doctor? So the first thing a normal person says, I'm normal. Then the doctor says, well, yeah, you're normal. What the hell you want? Only come when you're what? Abnormal, or you're toxic, or too soon or too late, right? Do you get it? So whenever your body goes off now, that's the first thing they want to check. Is it going too fast or is it going too slow? Because it's not obeying the normal, which is on time. Now if you're on time, you can't have any problems, because why? What will you have? Normal functioning. No, normal functioning is what we call health. It's a nice label. Can you buy it? Nobody can buy health. But we can control our organisms to behave what? Normal or healthy. Do you see what we're saying to ourselves and what we are actually doing to ourselves? So the timing determines if you're going to stay what? All right, exactly. Now, abuse or toxicity is accumulation and wrong timing. And that becomes very obvious after you get sick and you look back at the lifestyle of the person that is sick through the various symptoms of the sickness, and you'll see 9 times out of 10 the result came from wrong timing. But that is too simple of an approach as far as the technically trained person is concerned. Why would he waste time to correct your timing when there's no money in that? Now don't go blame him for and feel that he's trying to cheat you. That's not a valid statement. He's been trained to do what? Hmm? Right, and his training is to evaluate what the result will be in terms of his program and how his equipment is laid out. So when you come to him, he didn't come looking for you. You went to him with your symptom. He's going to evaluate it in the form of a label called diagnosis, and he's doing exactly what he's trained for, which is valid. So when he gives you the substance to use to slow it down or speed it up that is causing the problem, he has done his duty. It's up to you now to say to yourself, after you realize that, hey, wait a minute, there may be more to this. Where do I take some kind of responsibility for my health? Instead of constantly looking to this person for the answers, and maybe the answers aren't always going to be right. I got to be a little more conscious of what I am. And when we put that into our time frame or mind frame, we're going to start asking ourselves, are we willing to live or willing to live to die? Now, if you're living to die, I can't stop you. One person said to me years ago, Adano, don't heal me, man. I enjoy being pampered by my husband. Let him do the work. I says, fine. And he said to me, thank you, Adano. At least we got both each other to pamper. And so, but today they're living to live. They found out that pampering doesn't get healthy. But there's constructive pampering versus destructive pampering. So the time becomes important after a while. We begin to see it is not what is going in, but when it's going in, more and more we're responsible for staying healthy or staying sick. So a little of anything, and that's where we have to be specific now, because this is considered agricultural language. Technical language is 1 milligram, half a milligram, whatever is the substance is, and going in on a specific time. That's what we call the modern technical language. This is agricultural language as you see it. So we have to be able to recognize what we're saying to ourselves in order to work with it better. Now this language here will only lead to one thing: make you feel guilty for anything you do wrong. And the only thing you can do wrong is a lousy decision. You can't do anything other wrong than that. And the lousy decision that you didn't act on time. So that type of language makes you feel guilty, and you'll constantly get sick and sick and sick from feeling guilty by making wrong decisions. Now when you change the language around to make you responsible and accept that a milligram or a half a milligram of any substance that is within the time frame for the absorption, this frees you now from feeling guilty of an incorrect decision, because the measurement was already stated. Half or a quarter or a whole milligram is necessary, right? So you can't go blame nobody now. You got to what? Feel more responsible to act. And that is exactly when you get behind the wheel to drive a car. They teach you to stop at the red light, all right? And to go at the green light. And go like mad at the yellow light. Sounds familiar? All right. So timing is involved right there in your life, you see. You can't get around it, so if it's outside, it's going to be where your diet or your nutrition is. So as I said, the man that was responsible for this observation was Confucius, but it left us in a level where we got to do a lot of researches to establish what the little is, let alone the timing. Now the second rule is there is a time, a place, and a season for everything. I'm going to underline time, place, season, everything. You notice everything and anything are identical? That everything includes anything, and anything includes everything? There is nothing left out. You can't leave out a single thing in the two statements. The man responsible for this observation lived many years after the first man. He was a king. His name was Solomon. I call him the first solar man ever to record accurately how nature is working. There is a time, and that's exact in every 24 hours. But that time is more specific and dynamic in 24 hours when it comes to your health. You're born within the time frame. You may phase out within the time frame, or you can stay around here for a hell of a long time, knowing how to work with time. So as far as your health is concerned, it's involved with time. In a few more years, you'll read a lot of books being printed, and it's called chronobiology and all the different chromatics of nature. In the meantime, you can get ahead of it and start using it. Time controls your nutrition. It controls the input of your substances that you work with to run your body. Place controls your pocketbook. You can be in the wrong place and be broke all your life. And the right place, everybody wants to give you the whole country. It's called astrocartography. So many people were told while living up north, go west, young man. And so they went west, and today they're multi-millionaires, plowing up the soil and doing other things which they couldn't do back east. They were in the wrong place for whatever capabilities they had. And if you track it out, and I've done a lot of research in it, for the people who have made success in their lives going from one place to the other to where the success fell on top of their head like an avalanche, this place was already set up within the time frame for them to be in that particular receptive condition. And in the wrong time, place, they weren't doing anything. So, time regulates your health. Place regulates your pocketbook. Season, time also represents momentum. Place represents longitude and latitude. But season is a peculiar word. If I say to you there is no such a thing as season, but there's a condition in which we are forced to operate in, would you agree? There is no such actual thing called season, but there is a condition by which we are forced to operate in. Would you agree? Good. Then if season is an actual thing, give me a season called winter. I'd like to buy some winter from you. See what I mean? You can't deliver it. But you can create a condition that would be equivalent to what winter would represent. So that we come into another function of nature. Season is temperature. From 0 degrees moving forward to 32 degrees moving. We have a condition in the environment wherever we are positioned to the sun, and that's wherever you, in that place, and that moment of time to that mass of light there that is burning out. It ain't going to be here all the time, but it's burning out. It's like a firecracker detonated and is burning out. Every 90 days, you're subjected to a change in temperature. That condition is called winter. We may think it's not important. Wait till you start working with your health. And then you'll start to see what is it, how important it is. 32 degrees moving forward to 75 degrees is a condition called spring. That's another 90 days, or one quadrant turn of the earth in reference to the sun's position within a 360-degree circular movement. 75 degrees moving forward to 100 degrees plus is a condition called summer. That again is in a 90 days operational in the quadrant to the sun. 100 degrees plus moving backwards to 75 degrees is a condition called Indian summer. "75 degrees moving backwards to 32 degrees is a condition called fall or autumn. And we know 32 degrees moving back to 0 is winter. You made your full circuit. Here's your sun, and that's the orbit around the sun for the earth. And if you divide it into quadrants, that's a 90-day run. That's another 90-day. 90. 360 degrees. Move it. And so, how close or how far your location is to the sun within those 90 days allow you to interact in temperature. Here comes the rub. We find the right time to put the food in our mouth to stay healthy. We find the right location to put the money in our pocketbook to pay for the mood and the food. Season, which is temperature, is the relationship between two human beings. She too cold for me, or he's too hot for me. We can't make it. I gotta find me somebody hot like myself. See? So whenever we look at two people falling apart in their communications, we will see temperature patternings involved in their mechanism. And so it may seem kind of strange, yet blood temperature is very important. Now, what have you been exposed to as the rational blood temperature of a human being to function?
98.6. 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit.
A rational blood temperature? Come on, doctor. What is the rational blood temperature that a person operates? When you go to the doctor and he takes your blood temperature.
98.6.
Good. See how we arrived there? You go too high, you're going to get what? Good. And you go too low, you're going to get what?
Temperature according to their...
So you're answering again what your body needs to know in order to function. And if you don't understand it, then you're making yourself sick. And then if you're going to put the food in without understanding when to put it in, and then you get sick, you can fool yourself with your mind that you have a mind that will override your body till it lets you down, and then who you blame with your mind? You blame the wrong information in the end, but you don't do that because you think your mind was superior over your body. You get programmed with the idea that mind over matter, only to find out neither one is over the other. The mind can't be over the matter, and the matter can't be over the mind. They are coexisting working forces. And it's based upon a process of acceleration. And until we understand what these temperatures are doing in our bodies, we're eating food and getting sick from it at the wrong time. Now, when you wake up in the morning, do you rush and drink a hot cup of coffee? No, good. But then you'll tell me, I don't drink coffee because it's got caffeine. right? Wouldn't that be the excuse for not drinking coffee? Is it valid or not valid? Hmm?
Some people would say that.
Yeah. Me, I drink the coffee. Years ago, I'd say the same thing too. But you see, I found out a long time, nothing in this world kills you at the right time, but everything at the wrong time will kill you, and they'll bury you with your ignorance, and you'll go away hating the world, believing you're so right, only to find out you're the most misinformed individual. I'd rather be breathing and ignorant than be smart and dead. The temperature is essential at certain levels, and it makes for the proper absorption and elimination. So your body is set up to work with temperature. Yeah. When Solomon discovered this process, he already recorded it, and today now we're realizing it, that all nature around us is actually operating in spite of our beliefs. As one man said, if the universe had to wait for a human being to come and determine how it behaves, we would be all dead. The universal laws are operating already around us, but we are thrown into it by ignorance and by fear until we wake up to understand it by wisdom, and that is a result of trial and error. You don't get wise until you make mistakes. You get the idea? So health is the quickest way to get wise. Get sick. Then you do what? Spend all the money you have in your purse to go take care of what you put in your mouth. And then if the argument between you and the other person raises the temperature, that splits the whole relationship, and then you're left to yourself. And if you can't make it with your mouth, they bury you. It's a very, very difficult process. But it's important to know before we can ever say that out there is good to eat or not good to eat. The person responsible for this is a man called Solomon. He clarified already the time, and the time is what you put into your mouth. The place is what you put in your pocketbook. And the season is the temperature relationship with another human being to relate and work with. The third rule in solar nutrition is live to eat, to get sick. Don't fool yourself that you can get around that. From the time you're born, nature has provided you the environment for you to experience the sickness. And I'll show you what I mean. This object is on the floor next to a baby just born. When the baby opens its eyes and look around and see this object there within reach of his hand, what will it do? Hmm? Now listen what you do. You said the basic action is what? Oh my God, my child is dying. Right. Now, in this state, it's a threat to the baby. But when you reduce it down to what it actually is, the minerals, it may not be a threat to the baby. But that was the wrong model and time going in the baby's mouth. But the baby don't know that. You, the parent, know that in the end after it gets sick many times putting things in its mouth. Because we don't have any way to learn from the time we're born other than to put things into our mouth. Because the way we are set up by nature, we're hooked to the mother by the umbilical cord. We don't breathe through our nose. We oscillate through our mouth in the womb. The pressure in the air is coming through the umbilical cord to force the oscillation by pneumatic action. And so we're like that in the womb, dilating, calling ourselves growing. And the dilation reaches a point where it cuts off and is forced to come out to stand on its own 2 feet. That means it has to switch from here and here back into here and here. So the cord is cut, it breathes through the nostril for the first time, the lungs are filled, and then we keep it. If the lungs don't operate, back into the garbage bin it goes. It sounds comical, but that's the process, and every doctor knows that. But the general public isn't aware of it as yet, till they become willing to look at themselves. Cut the cord, we're forced to go here. The mother takes a child, nurse it. Nature provides, according to law, before you're born, the 2 people responsible for you coming together as a sperm and ovum, they call those 2 people your mom and your pop. The moment they cut the cord, they call those 2 people pay rent. They pay the rent for you for 18 straight years required by the law. And you better do what they tell you, because that is their privilege and their right. After 18 years, you have 12 more years, it's called Saturn return. If your disciplining parents didn't impose discipline enough to make you respect nature, Mother Nature herself, in the form of Saturn, within your own scope of the horror, it's called your horoscope, she'll knock you one straight lesson that you quit your monkeying around with yourself. And that's what we call straightening out. So it takes 30 years to muck up. You're entitled to it, and the next 30 years to clean up. And all the rest is yours after that. So you find that the people who come into solar nutrition are not very young people. They're usually people who have already done their mucking up. They have lived to eat to get sick. They know it doesn't pay off. But that's why we don't try to force this process on you till you've had that particular exposure to compare. You wouldn't be able to relate to it. You wouldn't understand it in the first place. It wouldn't mean anything to you. But you know what it is to feel sick from eating. Yeah? Good. Now, if I offer you a certain food this morning, and at 10 o'clock you felt sick, and I brought the same food back at 12 o'clock, and the sickness sensation hasn't gone away, would you eat the same food? Good. Well, you'll look at it, right? You'll smell it, right? And you'll listen to it, right? And you'll touch it. Well, you won't put it in your mouth. Great. All the other 4 senses are satisfied except your mouth. Then at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock at night, I brought the same thing back, and the sensation of the sickness hasn't gone. Would you eat?
No.
Good, okay. Then the next morning I come back with the same thing, and the sensations haven't gone. Would you eat?
No.
Good. Then the next midday, would you eat? Night time. Now you've already gone over 24 hours. Do you live by eating, or you live by what? Breathing. Good. You see how fast you catch on? So the food has a doggone thing to do with you until somebody says, I'm sorry, fella, you put it in at the wrong time. And that's why you got the aches and pains in your tummy now. So then you say, well, what time should I put it in? Then when you tell the person to put it in, let them see if they get an ache or a bellyache from it. And that's how they begin to do now. And doctors are doing that type of approach in administering medicine. One friend of mine, then the patient got the medicine. He told the patient, take this substance 3 times a day, breakfast, lunch, and supper. And call him every time he takes it to record the symptoms of how the body felt. So the patient put the substance in the mouth, and an hour or 2 after, they called the doctor and said, Doc, I have a headache from this substance. Okay, don't take it in the morning. Take it at lunchtime, take it at supper tonight. Then at lunchtime, the person noticed there was no headache. He took it again in the evening time, and at 8, 9 o'clock, he got a headache, and he called the doctor. He said, Doc, I got a headache last night after I took the medicine. Okay, don't take it at night, just take it in the middle of the day. Because there are no headaches after taking it in the middle of the day. So what did the doctor arrive at?
At the time.
When to put that substance in without any after effects, right? So the man had to learn to live to eat, to get sick first. Then he's going to learn how to live to eat, not to get sick. That's the 4th rule. But until you do this, you're not going to do this. Live to eat, not to get sick. But I'll tell you something about this process or rule. Do you know this is the most boring existence? Think of it, living to eat, not to get sick. Don't you love to feel sick once in a while? Don't you want attention getting pampering?
No, not too sick.
No, I see. All right. We're getting some good excuses. Well, this could be pretty boring because why? To live, to eat, not to get sick. You're watching everything very meticulously. But nature is very unusual. Living to eat, not to get sick is not a boring process. Neither is it the end process of your existence. It's the next rule of why you're living in your body, as a process, that makes all the difference of why nutrition takes priority over every form of input process to develop the consciousness. It's the 5th rule. Live to eat in order to live, not to eat. Now, if you think that's impossible, I'll be the first one to tell you not true, because I've done it already. 56 days without eating. I ain't dead yet, but I've proven what Jesus said and all the other great teachers of truth, that the human mechanism does not live by eating. It lives by every word. That is cosmic resonance passing through the medulla oblongata, known as the hypothalamus, the point where the sperm and ovum bonded in forming the human body, and that resonance frequency sustains you right up to midnight eternity. You know midnight eternity?
It's forever.
Good, congratulations. So we are immortals already, but we don't want to accept it. We're too busy doing what? We're doing the number 3 movement, right? But we're entitled to that, though. I'm not taking it away from you, but Mother Nature already set it up by her own laws of discipline. It's called Saturn returns. Every 30 years, she'll slap you with it until you shape up. So like it or not, we do survive with decent burials.
If it's not necessary to eat to stay alive, why are we born with digestive tracts?
It's an opportunity to learn the difference between the two. When you put it in incorrectly, and when you put it in correctly, and then when you don't need to put it in. It's called polarity or trinity. In religious language, it's called trinity. In technical language, it's called biopolarity of the cellular organism. But if you don't have the opportunity to experience any one of the polarities, you would not have compassion or creative consciousness to function in the now as an actual integration of yourself.
So you're saying for starters, I guess at a basic level, probably wouldn't need to eat, but
Yeah.
if you evolve to a higher level,
Yeah,
then it would not be necessary.
exactly. So now, the older you become biologically, you'll notice you eat less. Have you ever noticed that? To the point where people who operate healthy in their mature life eat lesser and lesser and still operate very efficiently. Now, this natural law is set up already. I didn't make it. I had to come across it. Living to eat in order to live not to eat comes under three categories. A, sickness. That'll force me to live without eating, like it or not. So sick that I can't utilize any food. But that's not a practical approach. But that's imposition on the nature of my mechanism to work with it. B, renunciation. Many of your brothers and sisters in various ethnic and religious organizations have all taken the vow of what? Renouncing food as a means of supporting the organism, and have achieved the highest possible reaction in their organism. The highest possible reaction of this process provides an organism that will not rot if it shuts down. It's called the non-decomposing body, as evidence of its accomplishment. If that, yeah.
There's a group called breatharians. Supposedly they don't eat and live just on air.
Yes.
Is that the same kind of thing?
That's the transitional level that is becoming obvious now, more and more as society becomes more aware of each other's behavior across the globe by the news media. We are locking in to all these ideas. At one time they were so far apart and it seemed remote. Today it's not remote, as the transmedia and the news media makes it possible for us to lock in right away and observe it. I've been in it research for years, so I know what you're talking about. And this particular approach is within the frame of the church programs. And then the end result is the non-breakdown of the body. Now, the non-breakdown of the body falls in many categories. The most obvious one is that if the person decides to shut down, their cellular organism does not decompose. That's a tribute to the renunciation. That's a tribute to the process set up by nature. Now, did a human being come before a caterpillar? Good. A caterpillar, all he does from the time he's hatched out of the egg is eat everything in front of him. If you observe them, and I observe them too, and then there comes a time when he quits eating anything in front of him and he spins a kind of a foamy stuff called a cocoon. And then out of this cocoon emerges another creature. Originally, the caterpillar that formed the cocoon could not fly. All he could do is crawl and eat whatever is in front of him. He spins this cocoon, or what we call a shroud, and it only lasts for 72 hours, and out emerges this other creature with a pair of wings, and it flies. Now this is a condition of nature that is going on long before the human being ever came on the planet, or for any planet for that matter. Well, here's a joke. Of all the creatures designed to fly, there is none more beautiful than the butterfly. Think of that one first. Of all the creatures designed to fly, there is none more beautiful than the butterfly. Now, butterflies do not rot. No matter how much you have them around and they stop breathing and flying, they don't rot. That's another condition to think of. Have you ever found any rotten butterfly? You keep them as souvenirs, right, in your house, but they don't rot. But I have made enough rotten caterpillars in my research by squashing them and know when they're caterpillars, they'll rot. When they are butterflies, they don't rot. And a period of shutting down and going from 72 hours from one stage to the next is a DNA, RNA process locked up in it. That tells me I'm missing the boat by fooling myself to believe eating incorrectly is a solution to living. When here I have facts confronting me all the time to deal with what my mechanism is set up. Yeah.
Aren't the butterfly wings also solar panels? I mean, don't they photo?
Yes, they are. Right.
They also eat nectar too.
Yes.
So they're getting energy
Yeah.
from those.
They are basically what you may call in your terminology bio-nectarian solar transmitter devices.
Bio what?
Nectarian transmission devices. But there are solar panels too. They live off of the solar rays by infusion. Now you have this ability. Don't kid yourself that you don't have this ability. I've done it myself. And I did my fasting out in the desert for 56 days. And I work with the 3 different light rays, in the ground, above the ground, and totally exposed to the sun at different time light. So the body is not designed to die. It's designed to live eternally, but the most unique one is the carbon-based one. This type, not the silicon type, not the sulfur or the methane, the carbon-based. But the carbon-based type must experience the pregnancy process in order to warrant the quality. The other types don't have the pregnancy process. So if a space brother comes down and he looks around and he wants to replicate himself, he can do it without having to go through the pregnancy process.
What is the pregnancy process?
The sperm has to be released by the father to compete with each other, to go to the ovum that signals it and merge with the ovum as a winner, and stay in that process for 9 months and then come out and be severed to assume the responsibility of breeding on its own. Now with the advent of our space brothers coming in, pregnancy will be reduced to 5 months. And don't be surprised when you hear medical profession is offering the woman an opportunity to carry the pregnancy of the baby for a minimum of 5 months.
What do you mean by space brothers?
Well, you don't believe you're the only people in the universe.
Well, I don't know.
Good. But they're not aliens, they're brothers and sisters. They were the great family. We were all of the great family, but we just goofed up, that's all. Now, when I say we goofed up, we fought among ourselves over attachment. That's why all the religions tell you the only agony or sin, there's no sin, the only misapplied decision is attachment. You cannot be attached to anything in this universe for 2 reasons. One, When you went to bed last night, did you fall asleep? Were you sound asleep enough to forget who you were? Hmm? Did you forget for a brief moment where you were? Good. That's being honest. But it's the most vulnerable point of your existence as a human form within the controlled patterning of your consciousness, because you had no guarantee in your brain you'll wake up this morning. Now, if you didn't wake up this morning after you shut it out, what would it do with you, the person lying in the bed next to you or in the house? Good. So you understand how vulnerable you are. Now, the only reason you build houses, and the reasons are too simple, sometimes too tragic at times, is because when you went to bed last night, you fought, like me and all the ancestry background, for that little thing up there to be over me, to keep out the rain while I'm sound asleep.
This may sound like a simple-minded question, but what is consciousness?
Oxygen is the only gas that produces the phenomena called consciousness. And consciousness is like a camera. Now, you understand how a camera works?
Yeah.
Good, okay. Listen carefully. I have the camera. I don't put no film in. I open the lens and I line up the object and I snap. What will I get?
Nothing.
Good, congratulations. I put a film in and I don't line up the lens in the correct aperture and I snap the unit. What do I get?
You get something.
Get something. But until I do the what? Correctly, by putting in the film, lining up the lenses, and then observing the distance of the geometry and snap, I get a what?
Well, you get what you want.
Ha-ha! You see what you see? Now, that is what science is. Science is those facts applied any place, any time, to produce the desired effect. So don't go fool yourself that science is something nebulous or strange. It's not. It is a series of facts, when applied any place, any time, produces the desired result. And that is science. It comes in every process we want to work with. But consciousness is like that camera. It'll only photograph. It will not compute. So don't confuse consciousness with intellect. Because the baby, when the cord is cut and it breathes the oxygen and we keep it, is it conscious or is it intellectual?
Conscious.
Good. Now here comes the rub. They cut the cord, the baby takes the air in, and then the baby looks up. Hi, Mom. My name is X345. I'm from the Jupiter target plot. Now I'm looking for my brother, sister, who may be working at NASA. Oh, shut up, you redhead, you. Now, you see what would happen now?
Thank you.
Right, okay. So that's a program that may be there in the process, and I'm not going to be, this already is happening. There are 3 case histories of the baby. After the cord is cut, one got off the bed and walked. And that's a blowing medical profession today, because they only know animals can do what? The moment they're born, they do what? They stand up, right? The human being can't do that. Yet this baby has done it already in one day 3 times. And they're doing the video, the information. I'm hoping to get a video copy. It's coming from Italy, where they've done that on the baby already. The other one is this. The baby is 5 months old, and the mother went out in the garden and left the child in the bed and came back and can't find the baby. And then to her amazement, he's up on the roof like this. His body is up against the roof, nothing holding him up. Now, that really freaks him out again. She runs and calls their local priest, you know. Look at him. See? But I'm gonna get the video pictures of it because they're recording. The doctors are questioning the fact, are we looking at health correctly or are we looking at it incorrectly? And maybe we are forced to reevaluate ourselves in terms of time and our mechanism. And that will be the new approach in health programs in years to come, how we look at ourselves and correct it. Now, I said we have sickness, we have renunciation. The third one, which is C, living to eat in order to live not to eat, is bioallergenics. What is an allergy?
Too much or something.
Too much or something.
It's an improper response of the immune system.
The body does not need it anymore, right? And can't utilize it or doesn't want to utilize it. In the state of sickness, an allergy, rejecting a substance and is classified allergenic, it's negative to the body. When it reaches the bioallergenic state where it's positive, it is arrived at what its true operation is. The body has no need to eat to live. It's performing what it was actually designed to do, integrate with the resonances of light around its organism and move in time and space by respiration. We call that breatharian. That's a name given to the behavior of it. But it's produced by the bioallergenic functions of the mechanism to the input of food. So the chemistry, for the first time, that you're eating in the form of food is doing one of the most unusual laws that it never did before. And that is the correct weight and correct pH factor moving on time, all the time, for the first time. That's the bioallergenic process, and that's what they call the non-eating state. Now, they found many people, and not too long ago, the latest report of my research, they found a man, he's 84 years of age. He began the process when he was 46, and it happened when he was in the war up in Asia, and he had to escape from the armies, and then he hid in the mountains, and he had no food to live on. And he was forced to just be out in the mountain range. And he kept trying to eat food till one day he noticed everything he ate, he got sick from it. No matter what it is, he got sick. To the point where he gave up and said, if I die from not eating, I'll die. It turned out he didn't die. He lived in a cave, and that's over 40 years. And finally they found him 2 years ago. Somebody was coming along the area, and they saw this cave, and didn't know. They went in there to do their scouting around, and then they saw this person. Well, turned out that this person is alive. The doctors have measured him and tested him, and for the length of time he has not eaten to now, he doesn't show any symptom of a degenerate body. Every function is 100% rational working body. And he doesn't eat anything. He's under 24-hour supervision. And they have seen that his body does actually incorporate the light rays in the environment by the respiration. So he's under research right now. And more these beings are becoming evidence of where we're heading in solar nutrition. We are heading towards living to eat in order to live not to eat. So, but to do it the rational way, without forcing sickness on yourself or without forcing renunciation, is the process that nature has set up. It's known as 70. You ever heard that statement? And you ever heard it being used in the biblical writings? Years ago, when I came across the process, I was in Pennsylvania to do some research with a group, and I was invited, and I was late. And I got there, to open the door to go in. I was the last person. Over in the corner was a young man sitting there looking. I'd say he looked like 100, but they told me officially, legally he's 150. And so I'm looking at him, and I'm saying in my mind before I ever got in the building, when does a person really actually turn over biologically without utilizing sickness or renunciation into a non-eating state? That was my thought. I got to the door, and I'm trying to come in, and the young man looks up to the interpreter, and he speaks in his language, and then the interpreter makes a statement that's going to blow the minds of over 100 some people in the room. Mr. Lee, well, I'm exposed already, the guy at the door is me. Bawa, and that's the person sitting on the chair there, says 310. Oh boy, you know what that means to the group in the room. What the hell is 310? And who's this guy? We don't beat the heck. We spend lots of money. We put up here by governments to do research. Who's this jerk coming here to tell us what? So, in my mind, I said 310. Yeah, but that's when people are supposed to phase down. I don't think he means die. What? Again, he talks to the interpreter, and the interpreter says, Bawa says, you know what it means. I says, oh, yeah. It simply means the DNAs and RNAs in the progress adapting of eating on time makes the transitional change into a bioallergenic process to allow you to phase out using food through the mouth in order to sustain the mechanism. And 310 is when you switch over from the mouth to the nose. You don't literally die, as most people believe when they read it in the Bible. That's your lifespan, and you die. We know that a lot of people are living longer than 310. 310 is only 70 years, so you're living longer than 70 years. But what is happening, we're moving forward to longer and longer utilization of the mechanism. And finally, we come to where the bioaction takes over and the body will live without eating. But we're heading there. And those are the 5 rules underlying solar nutrition. Now we're going to go into how it breaks it down and how you use it in your own body. So as I said before, you got to set up in your mind, you're living to live or you're living to die. So as far as I know, living to die isn't practical. Living to live is very practical. Because the many rewards locked up in your DNAs and RNAs that we don't even begin to tap are within us. And when we understand these laws, then we see the unusual thing which we call miracle. I don't know if you're familiar with the idea that your earth is hollow. Are you familiar with that idea? That you're living on a hollow earth? Or you're living on a solid earth? What do you think? Do you think you live on a solid earth or you're living on a hollow earth?
Well, as they say, it's got a liquid core.
Yes, and no, and maybe. But in the end, we'll prove to ourselves that we're living on a stack of pancakes that is swirling towards the center as a liquid field. But around the swirling center, there are layers where you can walk through the core to the other side. But you have to know the blueprint to the labyrinth. But it's already set up. Nature is stacking it. You ever see it's like a onion. You can pull the whole thing out and push it back. That's it. those three locations is our environment in which we live in, and where food and any type of sustenance can be found. And it came before us, like it or not. In a few more years from now, your medical profession is going to offer the cancer patient the ecological dietary plan. Don't be surprised if they call it that, because that's exactly what it'll end up being when you eat to stay healthy, not to get cancer. The ecological plan is the way the things grow. There are already books out calling it Fit for Life. These are recognizing that our environment came before us. Within this particular light frame of a 45-degree angle, all plant life are working within that light frame. This is another degree, and it's called a 90-degree angle of light. Then there is this particular angle where the light of the sun is actually particles of that mass exploded out, burning out, traveling away through space, and comes in contact with any object in its path. So it's called particles of light. And when it hits the surface of the object that is in its path, the spinning movement creates the phenomena known as wave. It's called the bounce range. And Mr. Einstein will tell you, light is a dualistic process. It's a particle and it's a wave, and therefore, to summarize it, he says, energy is equal to the mass times the velocity of light squared. And everything that is operating within light is both a solid and a reflection. And that's established without doubt. Before he ever stated in that terminology, ancient people were saying the same identical thing, that this is an illusion. In English, it's word illusion. In Sanskrit, the word is Maya. And we are the result of this optical illusion. And if we look at the equipment, we find that we are a result of a hologramic photography. We are walking around with a fantastic fixation produced by nitrogen to hold this hologramic imagery solid. Without the nitrogen, this hologramic imagery will gone. But nitrogen will keep it. And nitrogen, the color is green. Look around at your environment. What is the predominant color of the environment? Green, right? Which is the most constant evergreen plant on the planets that never changes its green much. No matter what temperature of the year, or no matter where the sun and the earth interact in every 90 days, is there a particular type that never changes its color?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
Pine tree.
Pine tree, right.
Pine tree.
Good, that's exact. It stays there because it's the only one that interacts upon a certain substance it makes. It's called the pine nut. How many people eat pine nuts? Good. If you don't want your cells to break down, eat them. The Russians have already done their research work already, and the non-aging process, what they're selling you now as health food techniques, are all pulverized pinyon nuts.
Do they come from the pine cones?
That's right.
And then are they in the health food stores?
Yeah. And when you eat the pine nut, it goes directly to the connective tissues to rebuild them immediately, which is responsible for the non-aging processing of the tissues to maintain proper lymphatic and sympathetic flow, so that when you do a massage process of flushing the body through the lymphatics, you are reinforcing the connective tissues to do their job better. So when you put in the actual mineral that integrates it, you're on top of the job. So you pine nuts, but you see it's high on a tree. Now, this environment came before us. This is us now. Here are we. Standing after everything is put together. But we are made from everything that is here. There's no way to get around it. This physical frame is made of the same elements that are here. Yesterday I showed you in reflexology a symbol that will be with you for a long, long time. Remember we said it was taken from the walls of the pyramids by Moses and carried, and most people thought he was drawing some kind of a beetle or anything. Not true. This is data that has been left there for centuries, and now today we understand what it really represents. The 45-degree angle of light in reference to our planet is referred to as zone 1 of the light. The 90-degree angle of the light flowing over the bird and the four-legged creature and all vine products, that is called the zone 2. The Bunks range is anything growing under the ground where the particle of the sun, leaving the sun, traveling through space, embeds itself into the object in its path and makes the surface hot up to 3 feet. So we all know nuclear radiation don't have any depth further than what?
3 feet.
3 feet. So go below, go 4 feet. Where is nuclear radiation going to do to you? You go back up. The atomic radiation experts all know that. So when they would make an atomic shelter, how deep would they make it? Or how thick they will make the wall?
3 feet.
Right. And then if you want to double insulate the occupants, they'll put a little lead sheet in between the next layer. So 4 foot thick wall. Or go into a cave. So they know it already, the facts, what they're working with. This is called the Bunks range or zone 3. It's set up. We can't alter it. We have to work with it. Our bodies are also set up the same way. From the top of the skull by the calcium, and that's how you measure your mechanism, by your calcium. Now, we say we have a skeleton. Nice fancy word for what? Bones? What are bones made of?
Calcium.
Good. And every doctor will tell you, you better get your calcium, lady, otherwise you're going to what? You're going to crumble, right? They don't say get some bones. Is that a comedy? Why don't they get to the facts and clean up and be all right? But the top of the skull, where the rib cage joins the spine or the sternum, this is referred to as zone 1. From the sternum to the top of the pelvic bone is zone 2. And then the pelvic right down to the tailbone is zone 3. But this picture is incomplete because it left out 2 things. The ambulators, that is the 2 hands made of bones too, or calcium, and the 2 feet that supports the mechanism. But nevertheless, you'll find the hands fall where? In zone 1, and the feet fall in zone 2. 3. Good. If we are to remain functional, we have to synchronize with our environment, and that's exactly what Carl Jung said. if you don't synchronize, they phase you out. That goes beyond thinking. It goes beyond all actions to the very exact moment of breath. You have to synchronize. But if you're going to stay in this environment till you're able to operate by the breath alone, then whatever you put in should be synchronized also. Otherwise, you're going to get sick. And the evidence is there for you to experience. Live to eat to get sick. Then you quit. Then you live to eat not to get sick. Then you begin to live to eat, not to eat. So on top of that, by that time, everybody call you what? Saint, weirdo, or dumbcough. All right. This is zone 1. This is zone 2. This is zone 3. Up to this point, my friends, the scientists, said, Adano, this sounds pretty good. But you know, we've been through all kinds of theories, and we only know one thing. If you want to stay healthy and to eat food, you must follow a certain formula 3 times a day. I said, yes. And what is the formula? Well, they say, 1, the formula must have protein. And I put protein first for many reasons. 2, carbohydrate. 3, mineral, vitamin. 4, lipid or oil. 5, liquid or water. That's the basic 5 that makes up the meal, and it must be put into the body 3 times per day. A breakfast, a lunch, and a supper. And so it doesn't matter what you believe in. If you don't put these substances into your body at a meal 3 times a day, you're going to get sick and break down. Nice reply. If I cannot show by this process that I'm presenting to you that these 5 substances can be taken from its own light range without crossing a light range to complete it, I give you back your money. But if I can show you that each light range contains these 5 processes already and doesn't require shifting light ranges to work with, then you got a science that is going here long before I ever came to recognize it. And that was how solar nutrition finally got its recognition, to the point where this formula has been established to be existing in all 3 light zones already. Now, what is the main issue of nutrition that the doctor says you must have when you sit down to eat? What substance? Protein? Good. Now, do you know there are several types of protein, but there is only one type that is valid? Interesting, eh?
What type of protein is that?
What do you mean by valid?
Protein minus nitrogen would give you what kind of disease? Congratulations. And cancer is referred to as a disease without cause. There is no cause for cancer to be caused, because anything can cause it. So there you go, stuck in the middle with cancer as a problem in the body, but it's the result will keep forming and breaking the body down if the body contains too much protein minus nitrogen. Now, what I said before, if you're going to eat 3 meals a day to stay healthy, and it has to have protein 3 times a day, what type of protein would keep you from getting cancer?
Type of nitrogen.
Good. Protein plus nitrogen, right? Now, how would you find protein plus nitrogen?
And nuts.
There are only 2 types of protein available.
That's what, complete and incomplete. Would you get the complete protein?
Yeah. You have it in the tissue, and you have it in the fiber.
So would it be nuts and what else?
In the tissue,
No, and it would be fleshy meat like.
that's all you got.
Yeah.
Fiber is nuts, and flesh is tissue. Now, question comes up in protein containing nitrogen is found in tissue, providing you don't cook it. So raw meat will make Queen Kong a very powerful wrestler, right? And she tells you right on the TV there, I have my dish of raw meat, and whoever comes into my path, I give him a good squeeze. And she does it on TV. But protein in the meat form, not cooked, contains the nitrogen. You got one problem. And you don't cook meat and you eat it raw. The problem is this. The adrenaline from the animal when it died is in the tissue. The uric acid from the animal when it died is in the tissue. So your body begins to store what? Extra adrenaline and extra uric acid, right? So then your body breaks down. And now, if your body was designed to digest tissue, then the hydrochloric acid would digest your stomach first before you eat. Because your hydrochloric acid has to be stored where? And your stomach is made of what?
Tissue.
Tissue.
Congratulations. Then you'll find that tissue is not a prime form of food. Tissue is a secondary backup, like a spare tire in a car, form of a food. So when you eat food for protein, the ideal protein would be what? Fiber containing nitrogen. Congratulations. Now, on a tree, nature, you'll notice, doesn't give you any option of selection. In the middle of the day, you have an option of selection between animal and plant, right? In the night, you have an option of selection between marine life and plant. Do you have any option of in the morning? As a tissue form food? Anything that lives on a tree?
Birds?
Bird?
What about nuts?
No, I'm talking about an option of choice.
Oh.
There is no option of choice in the morning. There's only one specific type of food. Tissue or fiber, which is it? Fiber, right. It's totally fiber, all growing on trees. They're set there by nature to do the input process of your body. And that is to give you protein plus nitrogen to start the day. Now, what's the first meal called?
Breakfast.
What?
Breakfast.
Break the what?
Fast.
Break the fast. So what were you doing last night? Didn't you?
Tonight you were fasting.
When?
Oh, you're sleeping late.
You see, while you're sleeping or fasting, okay. Now you're learning something about yourself, right? Okay. When you wake up in the morning, you need protein. And it must be fiber, not tissue. Years ago when I had cancer, and I was told to eat protein plus nitrogen by a friend called Dr. Kelly, who they persecuted in this society till they got rid of him. And, today they're exemplifying his concept so much, everybody wonders where is Dr. Kelly. By that time he's already bored with them. But he said the protein must go in with nitrogen. And I was deficient in protein plus nitrogen. Then I met Dr. Pavio Aroli, and he said, that is true, but it mustn't go in after the carbohydrate. Don't eat the apple first and then eat the nuts. Eat your nuts first before you eat your apple. Because he had a disease in his body, until he corrected it, he was dying. And the disease was putting in carbohydrate before you put in protein. So protein is your first meal of the portion of the meal. Well, let me put it this way. If you want to make a wall out of brick, what would you need?
Some bricks,
You need some bricks, yes.
and you need some cement,
You need some cement, yes.
some water.
You need some water, yes. And if you want to reinforce it,
You need something to mix it up with.
well, no, reinforce it to make it extra strong so it doesn't collapse. You know, rods in between, reinforce it. Okay, good. You.
Rods?
Yeah.
Okay.
And now, the wall is not going to be strong if you only use the cement, the rods, and the water, right? Good. The wall wouldn't be strong if you just use the bricks and no cement, right? And so we find that to make that wall, you have to have the bricks, then the mixture of the cement and the rods going in the particular category to build the wall that I stand up. Equally true, your health in your nutritional makeup is in this sequence. You put in the protein first. And why it goes in first, we don't make society that nature didn't make already. You ever go down to an airport to take an airplane? Before you can get on board a plane, what do you have to do?
You have to buy a ticket.
And I know you have to buy the ticket, yeah, but you can.
You have to wait. You have to get a seat assignment.
But you know, before you even get there, to go to that location,
You have to decide you're gonna go, where you're gonna go.
before you even get there, then there's something they'll never let you get on board a plane until you do what?
To the boarding house.
No?
I'll go through security.
Ah, hear that term? You go through security. Now this may sound funny, and I'm going to throw it right at you. Your stomach containing the hydrochloric acid is that security box. Years ago, the passenger went through under observation before they got on board the plane, and the pilots didn't have to go through it. Today, passenger, pilot, and even the guy who works there got to go through it because they don't trust none of them. They're all goofed. And so your hydrochloric acid in your stomach is set up to scan every material that passes through for you to stay healthy. So if you don't put in the protein in the morning from a fiber source containing the highest amount of elements, you will end up with the disease without a cause called cancer. Like it or not. So when I heard of a certain food, I went to see the man, but he had died already, and I met his son. The man who wrote the food said, if you don't eat almonds, you will always get cancer. And the man who wrote that, his name is Edgar Casey. He was referred to as the sleeping prophet of America. But I'd already got my cancer when I got to the man, but he'd already passed out of the body. But I met his son. So I said to the son, I said, your dad wrote and said that an diagnosed and offered almonds as a means against cancer? He said, yes. I said, tell me, when did your dad say you should eat it? He never said when he should eat it. He just said to eat it. I said, well, when you eat it, what happens? He says, you know, it's funny thing you asked that question. When I eat it in the morning, I never got any headache or gas. When Dad made me eat it late at night, just to be certain that I ate it in front of him, or in the middle of the day when he was at the table, I always had gas, and I always wondered why. To this day, I did never know. But I know I had to trick Dad by what? He would hand me the almonds. Here, son, here's your almonds. And I'll pop one in my mouth, and I say, okay, Dad, and I'll walk up the room, and I'll spit them out. And next one, I'll pop them out and eat them, and then I go, Dad, you know, I ate all my almonds up. Okay, son, fine, good, got what tooth. He said, but I never knew the reason why. And he says, you're asking me a question which makes me reflect now. There must be some connection because of his own symptoms that happened to him. But he ate his almonds. When he ate it at night, he got the gas. He met the middle of the day, he got the gas, he didn't know why. But whenever he ate it in the morning, there was no reaction. And then Pavioroli admitted that the protein was going in for the first time to interact with the hydrochloric acid and containing the nitrogen and coming from a fiber source, having no uric acid, no adrenaline in the content of this substance, your security of your vehicle is at its maximum quality. So when you came here and you had breakfast, those who were visiting here, you'll notice they had what? Almonds soaking and all other nuts with the available fruit. So the tree provides you the nut with the protein, with the nitrogen, but don't go cook it. You take the almonds, and they're in their raw state, and you pre-soak them. This is known as the germinal action of the nut. This particular action speeds up nitrogen reaction and starts to multiply the nitrogen in the nut. So sprouting was a technique everyone began to zero in on and totally negated the physics behind, and everybody was eating sprouting and didn't know what was happening. But that doesn't say sprouting is good nor bad. It's when you put it in. So everybody was eating alfalfa sprouts in the morning and get sick. So again, it's the wrong time. But sprouts are valid as protein with nitrogen. You take the almond and you pre-soak it in distilled water. You don't use no other type because you don't want to add more minerals that don't belong to the nut. So the distilled water is minus minerals. And when you put the nut in and allow it to pre-soak overnight, the germinal action is activated in the nut, causing the nitrogen to increase and the protein to be more vital to your nature and increase the body's capability to function better. And it doesn't have uric acid nor adrenaline to contend with. Yeah.
What do you do if you're allergic to nuts?
Anytime you're allergic to something, in the correct time frame, you have a trauma. You can only be allergic or addicted if you have a trauma. But if you have no trauma, you will never be allergic or addicted to it. There is a trauma involved.
I am allergic to nuts all times, and whenever I eat them, I do know that.
There is a trauma involved. Can you remember the first time you touched a nut? How old you were?
Pretty young.
All right. The very first time. How old were you?
I'm not sure I can remember the first time, I can remember like at age, I don't know, 4 or 5.
Okay, good. Now I'm going to ask you the other crazy question. What color comes to your mind when you think of nuts?
Brown.
Good. Now think carefully. Prior to the allergic symptom appearing in your body from nuts, do you know of anything that you were deeply attached to and lost at that early age? Prior to your body reacting against the nuts, do you know of anything you were deeply attached to and you lost at that age?
Oh, I had a dog. It was a chow.
And it died? Or it got run over?
No, I think my parents got rid of the dog for whatever reason.
You answer the trauma. The attachment syndrome to the dog got locked in. Remember I said earlier that the main cause of all sickness ancient men have zeroed down to be is attachment. And it never released itself, so your body will act one or two ways, allergic or addictive. In your case, it acted allergic. So the nut might have been something you were eaten at that moment prior to when the incident came up to the dog to be taken away by your parents. It might have been sick and you never realized as a young boy growing up what sickness the dog might have been or put away. So it locked in, so causing the body then to set up the allergic process so that when you put the nut in, now if you think back, do you know what time of the day they took away the dog? Morning or in the evening?
I don't remember.
All right. But that can be checked out by kinesis, so we don't want to go that way. But the body will indicate which time of the day. So, but the point is, what we're establishing is the trauma locked in from the attachment, and suddenly have to react in the body, puts it in an allergic reaction to that particular input. Well, you can correct it, and that's the one thing about the process laid out by nature. Nothing is permanent. Everything has its time frame to serve its purpose, to have comparison, and then release. And that's what self-therapy is. Self-therapy can correct that, yeah.
Should we eat the almonds if they're roasted?
No. The only, we'll come to what foods must be cooked versus what foods don't have to be cooked. We'll come to that in a second. So if you're going to eat almond, it has to be uncooked.
What about cashews?
It has to be cooked.
Okay.
See, most people don't know what a cashew is in the first place anyhow.
Okay. Will you explain about the pine nut?
The pine nut, you don't have to cook it.
Okay, but the tape had played out.
It's for the connective tissue. And, yeah, and it prevents aging and breaking down of the cells. So that is taken in the morning. And if you're doing any kind of a massage therapy, you'll find that the connective tissues are very important to working to clean up. And so when you finish the massage, you can back it up with pine nuts in the morning.
If you pressure cook almonds in a pressure cooker with rice, is that bad?
No. Because if you want to eat it that way, you're not eating the almond for the nitrogen. You're eating the almond for the what?
The protein.
No, the minerals.
Or the nitrogen.
No. If you cook it, you destroy the nitrogen. And what is left in the almond to be eaten?
Minerals.
Minerals, not protein. It's referred to as a protein base, but you are eating it now for its minerals. And you wouldn't be eating it for its nitrogen. You'd be eating it for its minerals. So it wouldn't be incorrect to eat it with rice, providing you eat it in the morning. Now, if you want to get sick, eat them in the afternoon and be my guest. That doesn't say you can't eat a cooked almond with rice, you understand? But I wouldn't eat it with barley. I wouldn't eat it with wheat. that'll make you sick right away, regardless how you like it or not, because almond and wheat don't go together. They're grain. Rice is not a grain. Rice is a grass. And that's one of the things you have to know with why you can eat the almond if you want to cook it, but eat it in the morning. But don't think you're eating the almond for its nitrogen in the protein. It's not. You're eating it strictly for minerals, because the function of it as a protein with nitrogen has already terminated when you put it in the steamer.
If you soak it and you blend it up and you make almond milk, is the nitrogen still intact?
Yes, as long as it didn't get heat. So that's valid. Now, we feed that to children who are adopted and can't nurse, even when the parent has a child of their own and the baby doesn't want to nurse because the milk may fall up. That's how we feed the child in the morning, not milk. So every light frame has protein with nitrogen minus uric acid and adrenaline. And we can feed the human being if they want to live in that light frame. So almonds can be blended up into a milk and be used. But if you're going to cook it, don't concentrate on the fact that you're eating your almonds for nitrogen. You're not. You better get something raw along with it for your nitrogen. Anytime you put heat to the product, you destroy the nitrogen.
So
Okay?
you don't have protein in either when you've destroyed the nitrogen. Protein's not.
You're only getting minerals now. You're going into the minerals because you've broken the process already that is set up for, and you're using it for the minerals. So you have to put back some form of nitrogen in your body to interact with it. So, okay?
If you drink wheatgrass,
All right, now listen to what you're saying, because wheat is a grain. When sprouted, becomes a grass. And there are three ways to use it: directly like the grass, or pulverize into a powder, or run through it into a solution where it's like a thick liquid and you drink it. But it's still a middle of the day food.
still what?
Middle of the day.
Still what?
People who get sick from it and don't know why have taken it in the morning and take it at night. But they found that they get best results when they take it from midday to 7 o'clock.
Can you mix it with other things? or
You
just
can mix it with other things, yeah. Because that's the way nature will make the grain. It's not going to change it for us. Even if you were to take, or I give you an example. Let's take an apple tree. Does apples grow under the ground, or it grows on trees, or it grows on vines?
On trees.
Good. Now that's agreed? Okay, let's take it and plant it on the moon and see if we'll ever pick an apple from under the ground or on a vine. That tree will not change its genesis for no human being, no matter if you reduce the time period of its height and its width and its eating period. You're not going to take it off of a tree process. It's still going to be a tree. We can do what is called shrink trees down, you know. What do you call that?
Ginkgos.
Bonsai. Good. Well, as Mr. Burbank says, I can bonsai every walnut tree in the world, but it still ain't going to make the walnut come any faster than the 17. The most I'll make is 17 years. He says, normally they take 34 years before you get a walnut to eat. Today we're getting walnuts every 17 years. But it hasn't prevented or caused the walnut to be on a vine yet. It's still growing on a tree. So that's what we're looking at. The range of its light, the interaction with the chemicals in the ground to form the end product is the action in your own chemistry makeup. So if you don't look at it objectively as it actually is behaving, you end up the sick person, and nature would not do anything more than keep presenting the problem. I had to learn it the hard way. So in the morning, my protein is almonds, pre-soaked overnight, and then I was overweight. I wanted to get my weight down. And my doctor told me, you'll never lose weight, Lee. All the methods you try will never come down. Then finally I found the system of eating based upon the protein base within the time frame to eat to control the weight. Whatever you want to weigh, 1 almond equals 10 pounds of body weight. You decide what you want to weigh. I decided a long time I wanted to weigh 130 pounds. I'm still 130 pounds, and I don't go up nor go down, and I sure eat my share of food. They can tell you. I eat my share of food.
But in the time frame?
I eat 13 almonds, 1 for every 10 pounds of body weight I want to weigh. And I eat other foods with it. And therefore my weight stays exactly at 130 and doesn't go up nor go down. Even no matter how many other food I eat along with it, it will not go, because that's the system set up by nature. And I found that out years ago by breaking up the body and had to go from overweight to come back to the normal weight. Now, whatever you want to weigh, so pick out what you want to weigh. And then it's very simple to establish what you want to weigh, you know. Most people don't know that. The length of your body times the diameter of your wrist. So, how tall are you, sir?
6'2".
6?
2.
2. 12, 6 is a 72, and 2 is 74. And you have a 2.5 inch wrist. That's 2 2s are 4, 2 7s are 14, plus 20. 146 is your working weight.
It's not where I am. I've got few to lose.
I'm 5'4".
That's 12, 5, 60, and 4 is 64, and your wrist is 1 3/4, 2, 2 4 is 8, 2 6 is 12, and 3 is 15. You should weigh 145 to be functional.
I said 130. Okay, so how many almonds would I eat then if I want to weigh 100, if I should be weighing 145?
14.
14 a day? Oh. Okay. All right, 145, okay. Say 130.
But you can find your weight and your height to the diameter of the wrist and then calculate. You have a 10-pound variance, though, to go up or go down, which is your optional movement in your health. So if you go up 10 pounds, that's as far you'll want to go beyond that measurement of your bone, because you don't realize that the size of your fist is the size of your heart. And if you over-exercise your body, what do they say you suffer from? The enlarged heart. And so most athletes are suffering from that because what? They overdid what? Yeah. So if you look at your fist, the size of it, you put it right exactly where it's supposed to be, and if they were to photograph your heart, it's the same size. A functional mechanism is already set up by its own geometry. You can't improve upon it, you can only record it. And so if you want to replace a heart, it'll have to match. But I don't recommend replacing hearts.
So the wrist size then is basically determining your bone structure.
That's right, exactly.
My bone structure is small.
Yeah. All right. If you're going to put the protein in the morning, pre-soaking it in the form of a nut is the most ideal to have it, and that is where your almonds come in. Now, we hear the word almond. Do you know where it comes from? It's a Persian word representing mond, meaning world, and all means all, or total. The total world. Persian for total world. And Mr. Casey was alive. He made the comment, he says, most of us eat things and don't even know the origin of it, but we end up in the grave unnecessarily. In chemistry, there are 12 basic minerals that makes up your body. 4 gases and all the rest are trace minerals and gases, which tells you now 16 out of 100